Welcome back. The Arab Peace Initiative and the Annapolis Conference are some milestones just in the past decade in trying to resolve the Middle East conflict. But what did they offer to the two sides? And with a right-wing government in Israel, did the initiative stand a chance? In 2002, the Arab peace deal offered Israel recognition from all Arab states for the first time. In exchange, Israel was asked to withdraw from the territories it occupied after the 1967 war between Israel and the Arab world, and to accept the establishment of an independent sovereign Palestinian state. Israel rejected the offer in 2003, and then in 2007, the US organized and hosted the Annapolis Conference. This was the first time a two-state solution was articulated as the mutually agreed-upon outline. Netanyahu has already said he does not believe in the two-state solution, and his partnership with Liberman has raised concerns in the Arab world. Liberman is known to have insulted many Arab leaders and threatened to bomb a number of Israel's neighbors, including Egypt, in spite of Egypt having diplomatic relations with Israel. Well, we're still joined by our guests in Tel Aviv, Dan Shifton, in Beirut, Robert Fisk, and in Cairo, Amr Hamzawi. Mr. Hamzawi, in the past, Liberman has said that Palestinian prisoners should be drowned in the Dead Sea. The Israeli Arab lawmakers meeting with Palestinian militants should be executed, and that the president of Egypt could go to hell. How is he regarded in the Arab world?
I mean, as I said in the first part of the program, he is definitely looked at in a very negative way by different Arab politicians, including Jordanian and Egyptian officials, the two countries which have peace treaties with Israel. The more dangerous, risky part of it, when you look at the new Israeli government, is that we are for the first time have an Israeli government which is not committed to a peaceful settlement of the conflict, regardless of how difficult the reality looks like, be it in Palestine, in Israel, or in the region. We have Arab moderates, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, who put forward in different ways the Arab Peace Initiative, expecting Israel to greet the Arab Peace Initiative. So far, they have been receiving a very negative response from Israel, and it is expected that the response is going to be even by far more negative in the coming period.
But Dan Shifton, some are saying that Lieberman is actually more pragmatic than his rhetoric suggests, that once he takes a senior cabinet role, that his approach might change slightly. Do you agree?
First of all, I think you're giving much more significance to Liberman than the whole issue deserves. And second, you're misrepresenting the issues here, because when we're speaking about the Arab Peace Initiative, Israel responded to it saying it has very positive elements in it, and Israel is willing to negotiate it. The problem is what the Arab states are saying is that Israel will have to accept refugees according to 194, and then they want Israel to sign on the dotted line before negotiations even start. The real issues in the Middle East have very little to do with the Palestinians. The Palestinians are a negligible issue. Everybody deals with it. The real problem is the nuclearization of Iran. Everybody in the region is concerned about it. For Egypt, it's a major threat. The whole region may become nuclear after the Iranians become nuclear.
Robert Fisk, your thoughts, your response to that.
What Israel has in common with the Arab states...
Okay, I'll wait for Dan to finish.
What Israel wants in concern with the Arab states is to confront the threat of Iranian nuclearization. This is the major issue here.
Robert Fisk.
Okay, no, the major issue is not Iranian nuclearization. The major issue is that Pakistan has got a bomb and is packed with Al-Qaeda supporters, and it's time we stopped worrying about Iran and looked at Pakistan, because that is where the furnace is. That is the problem there. Unless we start getting away from the locked-in ideas that it's that or that. You know, 194, I think most people have abandoned 194. But the Palestinian state does not need to have 194 in it. I think the other point I'll say is this. I covered the Bosnian War, and I covered before the Bosnian War broke out. And this incendiary language which Lieberman uses, and it is extremely important, not something to be put to one side, is exactly the language of Milosevic and Mladic against Muslims in Yugoslavia at that time. And this worries me a lot.
So what do you think that would lead to? Robert Fisk, what do you think that could lead to should he take over the role
my
of Foreign
crystal ball
Minister?
is broken, and I'm not going to make predictions, but the language is incendiary, And I think that anyone who uses that language, like Ahmadinejad does, who's completely cracked, or the hateful Saddam used to, those people must be watched very carefully because they're going to cause great harm to their own people as well as to the people whom they think are their enemies.
Amr Hamzawi, what about the Arab Peace Initiative? You touched on this a little earlier, which of course offers Israel normal relations with Arab states if it returns all lands occupied during the '67 war. Will Arab leaders withdraw that offer?
Let me say first that the Arab Peace Initiative is not a negotiating initiative. It is an offer which Arab countries are making to Israel. And as the guest from Israel did say, it's not a package to negotiate between Israel and Arabs on different issues, be it refugees or otherwise. It's an offer made by Arab countries, and Israel can take it or leave it. And if you look at the offer, it's a very objectively, it's a very balanced offer. The Arabs are mainly asking for the application of the international resolutions 242, 338, 194, and we cannot write off the issue of the Palestinian refugees by saying, well, Israel cannot take them. I mean, a solution will have to be discussed, addressed. It is an offer and not a negotiating package. You can take it or leave it, and I guess the position of the Arab countries is basically we have to.
But will the Arab countries take it off the table
come up with a timetable
point?
for the peace initiative? Well, yes, it's what they said. Saudi Arabia and Egypt did indicate it several times, especially after the Gaza war. There are limits. There are time limits for the offer. If Israel goes on and ignores it, and it's not true that Israel responded officially in a positive way. It was only the Israeli president who spoke positively about the Arab Peace Initiative, in fact mentioning the Saudi Peace Initiative in 2002, which did not have the refugee component. As it was adopted by the Arab League, the refugee component and 194 became part of it. But there was no official response by the Israeli government as such. There are time limits. And of course, Arabs will have to reconsider for how long are they going to put the peace treaty, the Arab offer for peace among Arabs and Israelis forever at the table. They will have to reconsider it.
Robert Fisk, what would Lieberman's appointment mean for Egypt and Jordan, two countries which have formal relations with Israel? Would it cause problems for them if they deal with Lieberman as foreign minister?
Well, it will cause increasing problems for Mubarak, apart from the insults he's had to endure from Lieberman. With a peace treaty with Israel, for heaven's sakes, it's going to cause increasing problems with him because already there is a growing divide between Egyptians and their president. But you've got to remember that Jordan and Egypt, at the end of the day, they are funded by the West. They are armed by the West. They are politically supported by the West. And in the various countries which have no democracy, and I'm talking about two of them right now, they'll ultimately do what Mr. Obama wants them to do. And I think Mr. Obama will do whatever Israel wants. And that's the way the Wheel of Fortune works in this part of the world.
Dan Shifton, your response?
Yes, first of all, it's true that the Arab Peace Initiative is a dictate, and it's ridiculous that the Arab states are trying to dictate their position to Israel and say, take it or leave it. Of course, Israel leaves it. I mean, the idea that Israel will let Arabs inject millions of Palestinians into Israel is ridiculous. It can't even be taken seriously. But it's wrong that Israel did not respond positively to positive elements in it. Israel officially, the prime minister, the foreign minister, and the president said, you want to negotiate it, fine. You want to impose on Israel your dictate, don't be ridiculous. I mean, they said it in diplomatic language, but this is the essence of it. If the Arabs want to take off the table their dictate, I don't think Israelis will be very concerned. If the Arabs want to negotiate, that's fine. If the Arabs want to undermine the existence of Israel by injecting millions or hundreds of thousands of refugees into Israel, that's a non-starter.
Well, that's where we'll leave the discussion, gentlemen. Thank you very much indeed for joining us in Tel Aviv, Dan Shifton, in Beirut, Robert Fisk, and in Cairo, Amr Hamzawi. And thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. We, of course, welcome your comments and suggestions. Please email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Bye for now.